Well, one thing good about being a cat is you don't have to worry about Obamacare, right, buddy? Right? Anyway, yeah, it's a lot cheaper when you're a cat. You know, you get your shots every year. It's like $18, for some rabies and some other stuff, right? And you're done. And the problem is with Obamacare is not only cost, but where people are up in arms. Hey, you know what's going to happen? It looks like it's toast because of the elections coming up. Even a senator is going to get an earful during the Christmas holidays about, people's insurance being dropped, them not being able to use their specialists, their doctors that they want, not having a choice. And actually, this has been the problem. Actually, if you look back in 1994, people forget 1994. Whoa, that was ages ago, like 20 years ago almost, right? HillaryCare. Everybody likes the idea about universal health care. Like, oh, we should help everybody. And yeah, everybody thinks it's a great idea. Now, I'm going to throw something else out here because, part of the problem with helping everybody, too, is cost. And I'm going to interject something right now about cannabis or medical marijuana and not exactly smoking it. Now, this is coming from a person. I never smoked weed. I never even smoked it. Period. None. But I'm an advocate of legalizing it. And I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't smoke weed, and I don't drink, okay? So, do all this health stuff. Anyway, but, when they made marijuana illegal, actually they used to call it cannabis, they made it, actually the word cannabis came from it. It was the American Medical Association that was protesting it the most when they made marijuana illegal. The reason they made it illegal, I'm going to go side note on here because it's a very important consideration as to what's going on in the health industry and astronomical costs, because the American Medical Association back in the 1800s and the early 1900s, most of the medicines out there had cannabis in it. Why? Because it works. And it's cheap. Why did they start making it illegal? It was that the same reason the cotton product came on real strong in the early 1800s. Most of the clothes and stuff used to be made out of hemp. And I'm digressing on this because I think it's a very important consideration. Most of the clothes out there were made out of hemp until I think 1820 or whatever, the early 1800s, when they came out with the cotton gin, Eli Whitney cotton gin, which made it easy to separate the cotton fibers from the plant. So then cotton became king, right? Well, they made a machine for it back in the late 30s. They patented a machine to separate the fibers from the hemp from the plant, the hemp fibers from the plant. And, Rockefeller, Standard Oil, the paper pulp people with Hearst, and DuPont with his nylon and all the chemicals, they moved to make it illegal because it was competition. So actually, if we want universal health care, where it's more affordable to people, if they could just grow their own plants, it would actually, because actually the hemp plant, the cannabis plant, even the actual marijuana plant, if you just chop up the leaves and you put it in salads and stuff like that, and you use the oils and stuff, very helpful, very healthy. It's not exactly, the hippie culture type stuff. Some people hate it for that reason. But anyway, getting back to 1994, HillaryCare, because I think, she might be the next president. So this issue of national health care is not totally dead yet. Oh, she'll push it hard when she's president. I think she will be. Not that I'm trying to root for her or nothing. I just think that's how it's going to play out. Okay? So, and I think Obamacare is totally dead. And if you go by what happened in 1994 with HillaryCare, it became out, everybody liked the idea of universal health care until they found out, what was actually involved in it. And it was like you lose, you're not allowed to select who the hell you want to use as your doctor. You're not allowed to select your health plan. And, it's the freedom of the market is gone. Actually, the doctors are highly, highly against Obamacare. As a matter of fact, the AMA is probably going to lose a lot of membership because the AMA is supporting Obamacare, and so the doctors are pulling out from what I heard anyway. But if you look at the just simple mathematics, arithmetic, let's call it mathematics, simple 1 plus 2, equals 3, that kind of easy stuff. You know, you don't need to be into any kind of heavy analysis. Obamacare's architecture would never add up. It just can't. It would never sustain itself in a million years. So, you know, even if they got it through, it would fall apart. But it looks like, you know, I thought that if they get it through, the whole idea is once they get the law in, it's going to be tough to, because it's all about total control, as Lindsey Williams talked about. But it looks like Lindsey Williams is wrong again, right? So, anyway, it looks like people are not only losing their insurance and finding that they might not be able to keep their doctor after all, has become the basically, Obamacare is becoming more like the buzzword now, almost like of something very, very, very unpopular with everybody, doesn't matter what political persuasion they are. So Democrats right now are looking at this, and they're probably going to start looking to lead the charge against Obamacare. You know, actually, you know, if they want to make things more affordable, like I said, there's so many things out there. Cannabis is another one. You know, the bee pollen, the bee honey, the bee propolis, all this type of stuff. Some of these natural things out there. A lot of these plants, like even the dandelion root, the weed, the dandelion root, very powerful medicine that the American Indians knew about. Oh, no, we can't use that. We got to go with this super expensive stuff, right? So anyway, so it looks like a lot of Democrats are going to be endangered for re-election now that people are realizing that people are going to be losing their insurance and finding that they might not be able to keep their doctor after all, even if the website works, even if they get the website to work. So it looks like Obamacare is out the door, you know. So the politics of the repeal effort, you know, it's basically, you know, it's not just a Tea Party thing anymore. The Democrats are going to jump on it. And you think we don't have freedoms in the United States? We do have freedoms in the United States. The problem is a lot of people are lethargic until, you know, the fire or the focus is right on them. You know, so the elite always try to play the game, keep everybody calm, cool, and distracted with entertainment and things like that versus focused in on the issues. That's really the problem. But, you know, I never should say, you know, in the United States, we do have, you know, we still have the, you know, the separation of government, you know, between the powers of government. We do elect the representatives. You know, the presidential election might be really pretty much rigged, you know. But the House of Representatives, there's too many of them to rig all that stuff. You know, you throw them out every 2 years. Even if one of them got rigged, he's only in there for 2 years. Goodbye, you know. And, you know, the whole deal is it's basically keeping people distracted. But it looks like they kind of blew the deal with this Obamacare because if they were shrewder in introducing it, they should have said you were able to keep your doctor, your, you know, in other words, they should do things piecemeal. They try to do too much all at once. Now, I think when Hillary Clinton is president, boy, people don't want to hear this, but I think she's going to be, man. I mean, I don't like the lady, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think she's an evil lady that's very ambitious and only she follows the orders of, I don't know, the powers that be, but I think she's going to get voted in. And so even though this issue is going to get knocked down, it's going to come back up again. It's going to come back up again. So, you know, this isn't the first time healthcare entitlement wasn't repealed. It was repealed, actually. It was also back in the late 1980s. They had something happen with some catastrophic coverage for seniors because the seniors were made to pay for the benefits under the scheme. There was a big uproar, and that forced Congress to change their mind. You see? See, the problem is with the elite, the founders of the United States, you know, they were smart the way they set up our system of government. Even though we're not going by the Constitution in a lot of ways, the basic framework is there. So when people get pissed off, they still got the ways to freaking fight back, don't they? Don't they? They're going to have to think of something really catastrophic to bring about the New World Order. And, you know, maybe they will. Who the hell knows? But it looks like Obamacare is going to be pushed aside pretty bad. It's not just going to be reformed. It's going to be repealed. But it's my prediction it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's going to be, you know, HillaryCare. It's going to be HillaryCare if she wins. I think she's going to win. I'm 110% certain she's playing low profile on Benghazi, and the powers that be want her in there. If she was the president right now, we would have already attacked Iran. There's no doubt about it. And she would have been the president if George Soros didn't step in the primary elections and push Obama to the forefront. Because I think she would have beat Romney. So, just giving you heads up about some of this stuff. Now, I'm not somebody who's against a woman president. I mean, if we had Martha Ray, and it's Martha Ray, she's the singer entertainer, and she was also like an honorary colonel during Vietnam, and she's somebody that was right out there with the troops, and if the going got rough, she'd be out there caring for the wounded and even carrying the dead to the planes. Martha Ray. There's women out there that are really, like, if she was president of the United States, or she was running for president, she's not alive now, I mean, she died many years ago. It's Martha Ray, R-A-Y-E. I would definitely vote for her in a second flat. But I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton. No way, man. That's the opposite. That's not a nice lady. So, I just hope I don't know. There's going to be a lot of women that are going to vote for her, and I know that. It's not going to be only women, but I think she's going to be the next president. So I'm bringing this up now as a heads up, because Obamacare, I think, is going to get clobbered. It's going to get repealed. The Democrats are all starting to worry about elections coming up, and they're getting a lot of heat and flack from their constituents about them losing their doctors, and not only the cost, not only the website being down, but losing their doctors, losing their health care plan, losing the specialists that they go to. So they're getting a lot of heat about that, because basically losing their doctors and losing their specialists is a matter of life and death for them. So they will act upon that. It's like their backs are pushed to the wall. So the senators and House of Representatives and everybody, they're getting an earful. The Democrats, right? It's not just the Tea Partiers. So they're going to be talking, at least they're going to be talking about reform, but it's probably going to be repeal. It's probably going to be repeal. But if the issue is not going to go away, because if I just got to recall this, 1994, almost 20 years ago, HillaryCare, that failed, but I think she's going to be the next president. Not that I'm voting for her, and like I said, I'd have no problem with a woman president if they were like Martha Ray or somebody like that. Somebody you probably never heard of. You probably heard of Britney Spears or some crap like that, or Madonna, or Lady Gaga. But none of those people would have never done anything like Martha Ray would have done in Vietnam. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Total opposite of like a lot of the garbage that's going on today. I'd vote for her in a second flat if she was alive, but she's not. So let me put it to you that way, man. Hillary Clinton's going to be bad news. That's why I think she's going to win. I'm just doing this as a prediction, because I can kind of sense, I can kind of tell how, most people would be voting. She would have already been president if it wasn't for George Soros. So as much as you don't like George Soros, and, if you don't like Hillary Clinton, if you don't like, George Soros, you might thank George Soros for at least giving us Obama and giving us a reprieve for 4 years, because it seems like, what goes on with these presidents, it goes from, bad to worst, man. So they're getting worse and worse. So you're going to have to look very carefully at your House of Representatives, and because the president, that election, there isn't really much you can do about it. Now, if you're like me, I vote for the other guy. I'm one of the ones that votes for the ones that get less than 1% of the vote, but nobody does that. So that don't work, right? That don't work. But Obamacare's out the window. I think it's going to be repealed completely. Good news. The bad news is that the underlying issue is probably not going to go away, and I think if I'm I'm not 100% sure, but I think I'm correct on this. Hillary Clinton is going to be the next president. You got to remember, she's the one that introduced HillaryCare in 1994, and they might present it in a shrewder way and get it passed. I hope not, but that might be the deal. So just beware of the future. Heads up. Heads up. How's that? Heads up.